There's a new law now in effect to stop squatters in their tracks, but the question is, how strong is that law?
You're in.
Getting in wasn't graceful, and this isn't how property investor Alex Jandick or homeowner Brenda Wilkinson wanted this to go down.
Welcome back to Law Unpacked. Today we're diving deep into one of the most frustrating problems for property owners: squatters. And what's even better, this is our first episode exploring Florida's new law, a law that was designed to stop squatters in their tracks. So if you own property or you're looking to invest, you're going to want to stick around for this. Imagine you owned a property for years. It's sitting vacant, and while you try to sell it, suddenly a family moves in, but not with your permission. That's exactly what happened to a homeowner in St. Pete. And the squatting issue didn't just affect her property, it could have dragged her into months of legal battles. Today, we'll explore that case, discuss how Florida's new squatting law works, and even see how other states like California are still struggling with this problem.
Anybody inside?
Breaking into her own home.
Well, look at that.
It's like cat and mouse. She's here one minute, she's not the next.
They reached out to the proper channels.
Let me call the St. Pete non-emergency police.
But Jandick tells us sometimes it is not enough.
You had somebody renting this house.
No.
I did not.
How did this person get into this house?
They broke in.
It looks vacant.
Is there any way, or what would we need to do to have this not be a civil matter and just have them arrested? Because that's the quick solution.
This was the second time St. Petersburg police came out to this home. It has been vacant for years, and it's close to finally getting sold to the bank. It has no electricity, running water, it's bug infested, the floors are rotting, but a family moved in.
We'd have to do a lot more research on this.
Got it.
Sounds like there's a lot of moving parts to it.
Here's the situation. This property has been vacant for years. It's in bad shape. No electricity, no running water, the floors are rotting, the pool's basically a pond, and then out of nowhere, a family shows up with a fake lease, claiming they've paid a deposit.
Jandick says he was shown a fake lease and a forged signature of the homeowner's son-in-law.
Here's his wet signature that I had him send me last night. So if we put those two side by side there, again, I'm no handwriting expert, but damn.
Wilkinson telling me she never posted it for rent.
I haven't been in this house since '08.
The family came with lots of items, a generator because there is no power, cabinets because the kitchen is a disaster area, and boxes of random stuff.
These squatters have made themselves comfortable. They brought in a generator for power, cabinets to fix the broken kitchen, and boxes of personal belongings, as if they're settling in for a long stay. And the worst part, without Florida's new law, this could have turned into a legal nightmare for Brenda.
What was it like coming in today to look for a squatter?
Terrible. You know, I working with Alex and trying to get a deal going here, and I don't need anybody in here.
Wilkinson drew this mural for her daughter, who was 13 at the time when they lived here, a faded memory before life and family issues turned this once home into a shell of the past.
This might sound extreme, but squatting like this happens more often than you think. Squatters typically target homes that look vacant, and during the pandemic, with eviction moratoriums in place across the country, squatting surged. The moratoriums were meant to protect legitimate renters from being displaced. But squatters took advantage of the system, claiming rights that weren't theirs. And guys, this isn't just a Florida issue. This is still happening all over the country today. Squatting laws have been frustrating property owners for years because the process to remove squatters has typically been slow, involving lengthy court battles, which drag out for months. But here's the thing. Florida's approach is different now. Before House Bill 621, getting rid of squatters in Florida was a drawn-out, frustrating process. Even though squatters didn't have a legitimate right to the property, they could claim they were tenants and force a homeowner into a civil eviction case. It wasn't a matter for the police, unless the squatter was caught in the act of breaking in. Now, how many times has somebody been caught breaking in a window? Yeah, you've guessed it, we wouldn't have this issue if they were always caught.
What do you say to these folks about what they're doing to you?
well, I told her I was going to call the cops and I wanted to see the proof she had, so I copied them and I sent them to Alex.
You met with her face to face,
Yes.
right?
I'm just here to get my stuff.
This was their third meeting, Jandik recording the encounter.
And I think we're gonna try to get the generator, and I don't think we have much more than that in there.
Okay.
So, okay, that's what we're gonna do.
Fair enough.
Okay,
Thank you for being fair and reasonable. I appreciate that.
St. Pete police cited 2 people staying at the home with trespassing. We are blurring their faces because they were not arrested.
The old system required homeowners to go to court, file an eviction, wait for a hearing or an answer, and then maybe, after a few months or in some cases years down the line, they get their property back. And while that's happening, squatters could be causing significant damage to the property. But now, Florida's new law changes all of that. House Bill 621, which went into effect on July 1st, 2024, allows the police to get involved right away, instead of leaving homeowners to battle it out in court for months. The sheriff's office can now verify property ownership and take action.
One of the supposed renters cited by St. Pete police for trespassing left her number on a sign, and she agreed to let us record our phone call. What happened?
I was renting out a property, and then the people came and said that I wasn't supposed to be there, called the police on me, and we had to leave.
So let's break this down. What this new law actually does. First, if a homeowner suspects their property is being occupied by squatters, they can file a verified complaint with the sheriff's office. This complaint essentially allows the sheriff to step in and remove the squatters from the property, without the homeowner even needing to file an eviction case. Second, it's no longer just a civil matter if the squatters have caused damage to the property. They can face real criminal charges, and we're not talking about minor charges here. If they cause more than $1,000 in damage, they can be charged with a second-degree felony. A second-degree felony is one of the more serious offenses in Florida's legal system. If convicted, squatters could face up to 15 years in prison, 15 years of probation, and fines as high as $10,000. These aren't minor penalties. They're designed to send a clear message that squatting and damaging someone's property won't be tolerated here in the state of Florida. Think about that for a second. A squatter who moves into your property and damages it could be facing charges on the same level as crimes like aggravated battery or grand theft.
Attorney Sean Lopez told me this new law will give homeowners more power to remove people who are potentially squatting.
So unlike before, there's actual criminal penalties now that would actually help the landlords in the situation.
Let's get into what you can do as a homeowner to protect yourself from this ever happening. Number one, most of these cases occur with vacant property. So if you have a property that's sitting vacant for any period of time, take steps to protect it. Install security systems, put up ring cameras, put up ring doorbells, put up no trespassing signs, and check on the property regularly. Squatters tend to target properties that look abandoned or neglected. So the more secure and well-maintained it looks, the less likely it will be targeted. If you do find squatters on your property, Florida's new law allows you to file a verified complaint with the sheriff's office. Before, you would have had to go to court, file an eviction, and wait for months. But with this new law, it becomes a criminal issue. The sheriff can come out, confirm ownership, and take action quickly. Florida might be leading the way with House Bill 621, but let's talk about the squatting problem in other states. Take this case from Los Angeles, for example.
Jean, an 81-year-old grandma in Idaho, inherited a plot of land in Los Angeles. She thought her financial worries were over until squatters claimed the property.
The sheriff won't go there and cut the locks for you.
No, they're not allowed to. The squatters have rights.
At least 20 people in a dozen RVs took control and barred her from her own land.
An 81-year-old grandmother from Idaho inherited a piece of land in California. Think it would give her financial security. Instead, she's been locked out of her property by squatters. And it's not just a few people. It's over 20 people living in a dozen RVs, completely taking over her land.
Neighbors told us people inside were armed, and they weren't happy to see us.
You think if there were some murderers in here, they would enjoy you coming up to the crack and looking through the camera?
Who has more rights here, you, the property owner, or the people living there illegally?
Oh, I have rights. I get to pay my property taxes and pay for liability insurance.
Over the last 3 years, she's spent her savings, about $100,000, to cover legal fees, taxes, and lost rent.
Can you believe that? This isn't an isolated incident. Squatters are a massive problem in states like California and Washington. The frustrating part, in many of these states, squatters are protected by tenants' rights. In California, the process to remove squatters can take months, if not longer. The legal system treats these squatters like tenants, which means property owners have to go through a long eviction process, even if the squatters don't have a legitimate claim to the property. This is where Florida's law truly stands out. In states like California, removing squatters can take months, if not longer. And even though these tenants are actually squatters, homeowners like Jean, the 81-year-old woman in California, are stuck in legal limbo while their properties are taken over and in some cases, trashed.
See the broken windows there, the graffiti, and someone's been living in this.
It's been a horrible nightmare.
Terry Cortez lives next door and wants the city to tear it down.
I think the neighbors and I are very scared sometimes of what kind of people come up, and people sometimes come in.
Squatters have rights in states like California, which means law enforcement can't intervene without going through a long court process. This is what happens when tenant protections are so broad that they protect people who don't have any legitimate claim to their property. So why is Florida's law so much more effective than what we're seeing in places like California? Well, it comes down to enforcement and criminal penalties. In Florida, the law gives law enforcement the power to act quickly. Your home is your castle. Use the law to protect it. Folks, don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you got a squatter problem, give us a call. At the DeVries Law Firm, we'll help you navigate the system, get your property back in your hands where it belongs. We'll see you next time.